welcome to Laugh and Monkey Music Show, John. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm glad we could have you back. So yes, the album, New Day. This is awesome. I have heard it, one of the few special ones that have heard it, and this is the album I've been wanting since like '94, man. Seriously.
You know what, I appreciate that. Like, I know that there was a minute there when I put the first single out in December, and there was a
Mhm.
couple comments, where people were like, "Man, what's he doing? Like, I want something heavy like the Motley record," and I'm just like, "Man, this is just." I guess to some degree, me evolving or devolving because this is all the shit that I used to listen
Right.
to. You know what I mean? Um, but
Oh, it sounds more like you. It sounds more like you. As a fan of you for all these years and all the acoustic things and all the other projects you've done, this sounds like you.
well, I appreciate that. That's honestly, at the end of the day, when we were doing this record, Marti Frederiksen, for those who don't know, he
At this
produced
point.
the record and co-wrote a lot of this stuff with me. And honestly, he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Man, you know what? Honestly, like, I just want to get to back to the '60s, '70s, where I just me, and this might be just me, but I felt like a lot of those bands had the freedom to just be creative. It like just for an example, if you look at the Rolling Stones, who are considered, obviously there was the Beatles as well that opened the door for everybody. But if you go back and you look at the Stones, who are considered by a lot of people to be the greatest rock and roll band on earth, um, they would do, Jumpin' Jack Flash and Brown
Hmm.
Sugar and, but they weren't afraid to dip their toes into other genres of music and call it their own. You know what I mean? Now, like for example, if you listen to Wild Horses or I'm Just Waiting on a Friend, Dead Flowers, those songs in this day and age would literally be labeled country songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like that kind of freedom that the bands back in the day, your Zeppelins, the Stones, the Beatles, uh, Queen, like just all those bands, they just kind of did what they felt in the moment, and they didn't worry about labels. Like now, like when a band puts a record out, it's like, is this classic rock? Is this rock? Is it heavy rock? Is it Americana? Like, what is this? So everybody tries to label it and put it in a box, and I'm like, I personally just I hate that. Like, why is it that an artist has to continue to do something, you know, that they've done their whole career? Like, what? Like, why can't they expand or grow or show people that they like other forms of music? You know what I mean? So I think Marty and I, when we got together to do this, it was really liberating. It was very
Hmm.
easy to do. And it was, I think, mission accomplished. You can't really put this record in a box.
No, I think it's got. I think it's like it's a kind of like a groove record, maybe '60s, '70s feel. But it's definitely a groove record. It's got a nice feel to it. It's just a good rock groove. Good guitar groove, and I love the guitar in it. And like I said, the last two times we've spoken, we did your book review. I did your book. I think I did the last Dead Daisies. I think I ended talking about your solo album every time because I've been waiting since like Union for you to do your solo album. So this to me, no, I get why you didn't, but I'm saying to me. This is the best. It was worth the wait. That's what I'm saying.
That's awesome. And there's much more to come. I mean, dude, there's so many ideas that Marty and I never even expanded on. Like, I've literally got probably uh I couldn't even tell you, probably another 50 or 60 little riffs and idea things on my phone. Some of them are doubled up, but I would imagine I already reached out to Marty. I'm like, hey, dude, I don't want to just rest on this now. So, like, if we can just get together and work on a song a week, do
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And just start stockpiling and recording stuff for the next record. Um, so we'll hopefully, I can keep this train rolling. You know what I mean?
I think it's great. I think it's great. So people that haven't heard, the album's coming out a new day, 24th, I believe, right? April 24th, I think
Yep, April
is spring.
24th, and I'm excited, dude. I'm very proud of everything that I've already done in the past, but I'm just sitting here now. I'm like, wow, this record is, to me, this record is really cool. And without sounding too emasculated, even my wife was like, you know, this to me, she's heard all of my records, and she goes, this to me is probably the most honest John Corabi record.
I hear
You
that. I
know,
mean, to me, it's like this is your comfortable pair of jeans. This is right here. This is the one that fits you the best. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? Because I've heard, I have Union and I have the MC '94 album and Scream and all some of the bootleg stuff out there for you over the years. So I've been following you for a long time, and this is the album. I mean, I hear your Beatles influence, your little nod to CCR. I hear some spaces in it, but you're not copying anybody. It's just a couple feels, but it's just rock and roll, man. It's great because it isn't, you're not like, that's somebody. You're like, I get where his tribute is, but that's it.
Yeah, it was funny. Like somebody was talking about uh, the song New Day, and I don't know where they heard it, but they're like, oh, great. This is like total country rock. And
Country.
I was just sitting there going, for the life of me, like I could tell you right now, like the actual riff, yeah, it's pretty Beatlesque, and then
Yes,
there's the
yeah.
verses with the backing vocals, but then it goes into like this. And when we were doing it, I was laughing. I was telling Marty, I said, yeah, man, this like that little pre-section, that pre-guitar solo section. I said, man, it kind of reminds me to some degree of like a little Thin Lizzy.
Mhm.
And then it goes into the actual guitar solo, and I go, now it reminds me of Aerosmith, like from like Get Your Wings, Toys in the
Yeah.
Attic era. And Marty was like, yeah, 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 yeah. So everybody's going to hear this thing. They're going to hear the songs. They're always going to hear it the way they hear it. But this is honestly just like all the shit I grew up listening to, thrown into a pot, stirred up. And again, I'm excited about it. Um, we had a blast doing shows over in Europe. Um, you know, uh, we got great reviews. So I'm super excited, man. It's going to be awesome.
So actually, in the album, you had to go. We talk about some of the people on the album. You had quite a lineup too, playing on the album.
Well, for majority of the stuff was me, Marty, and his son Evan.
Hmm.
Um, so we went in and like normally Marty and I would map out the songs on acoustic guitars, and then we go into the studio and I would normally do some sort of a rhythm track, whether it was acoustic guitar or electric. Marty would play bass, his son Evan would play drums, and we would get that part laid down. And then whoever was better for the part, like I did some keyboards on Cosi, Marty would play some keyboards. Evan's like the little secret weapon. He plays like 5 or 6 instruments, and then uh, but it was funny. Like I did a few of the guitar solos, and Marty goes, hey, you know what, dude, I think we need a little more fire on these two songs. So I go, okay, cool. I came home from the studio, went to bed, got up the next morning. I'm having coffee, my breakfast, and my phone pings, and it's Richard Fortis. And he goes, hey, dude, I saw you're doing a solo record. If you need any help with the guitars, so I sent Richard a couple songs.
Really,
Yeah, it was like, it was
that
so
timing is
effortless.
crazy.
Yeah, it was like just this really simple, organic, uh, without even trying. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
Richard's like, oh, I saw you're doing a record. If you need any help. So I called him and I said, it's funny you're texting me. Marty just said yesterday, there's a couple of these songs could use a little more pizzazz on them, fire, than what I'm capable of doing. So I sent Marty or I sent Richard 3 tracks because he said, I can do something for you, but if you want me to do it, you got to send it to me like ASAP because I'm leaving in like 2 days or 3 days to go on tour with Guns N' Roses. So I sent him 3 tracks thinking, all right, he can listen to these three and whatever one like really kicks him
Right.
in, then that's the one he'll do. And I sent him all 3 tracks, and it was like the next morning I got the tracks back, but he did all 3 of them, and he sent me these brilliant solos back. But the cool thing is, he not only sent me the tracks like the solos, but he sent me alternate solos just in case like something didn't work or whatever. So I just sent everything to Marty. I'm like, dude, Richard did all 3 tracks. So he listened to them. He goes, these are great. I don't have to do anything. So he just added it to the track.
How
You know what I
long?
mean?
Yeah, that's insane. Like so, like literally the timeline. How long from when he got it till he turned all that around to you? That's insane. That amount of
Yeah, it was like the next day he sent me like 3 tracks back. And then the whole thing with if you've got the any of the notes from the record,
yeah.
Charlie Starr played on it
Yep.
as well. And again, like I've been a fan of Charlie's playing forever. I don't really know Charlie that well.
Hmm.
I met him in New York. I was on tour with the Daisies, and we were all staying at the same hotel. So I was bullshitting with Charlie for a minute, and then I kind of friended him on Instagram, and so I was just like, this song that I have, Faith, Hope, and Love. It's got kind of a
Hmm.
bluesy R&B. And I was telling Marty, I said, who'd be great on this? I go, I think Charlie Starr would be awesome on this track. Let me reach out to him. And so I just sent Charlie a message like, hey, dude, how much do you charge to do like session work? Because I didn't have a big budget.
Well, I mean, no one does it nowadays.
Yeah. So Charlie goes, well, let me hear the song, bro. So I sent him the track and, it was pretty much done. I had the vocals and he listened to it. He literally texted me like 7 minutes later, and he goes, "Dude, I fucking love this song. I'd be honored to play on it." So I go, "All
Nice.
right." So I sent him the track, told him what I wanted, which, by the way, he nailed it. And but the funny thing is, about a week later, I get a ping on the phone, and it's like, "Hey, dude, I was just kind of sitting around with an acoustic guitar." And I was thinking of you, like, man, I really dig this song. Um, I thought it'd be cool, man. Maybe we should write a song together. So he sent me this really rough idea of it was just him with an acoustic guitar,
Hmm.
and he's doing this cool riff, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then he starts like singing, and all he really had was like the first opening line, and he said, "Looking in my rearview mirror, watch it all fade away." And then he was scatting some stuff, and then he sang this melody for a chorus. It's like, I don't need that memory anymore.
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck, that's awesome. Played it for my wife, played it for Marty. Marty's like, all right, let's record it. So we changed the key to suit my voice. I finished the lyrics. We mapped it all out. We recorded it. I sent it back to Charlie literally 2 days later, 3 days later. And I go, hey, bro, just, you kind of started this thing. Are you cool with the direction we took? I played him the song. I sent him the track. And he goes, dude, I'm smiling ear to ear. So,
That's nice.
yeah, just this whole process was, I swear to God, like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I don't think I broke a sweat doing during any part of this process. of doing this record. It was just effortless and organic. Everything just happened the way it was supposed to happen. And then and then Marty goes, "Man, I'd really like to get a keyboard player to." Okay, hold on. And I picked up the phone. I called Paul Taylor at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and at like 6, he was at Marty's house with his keyboard ready to go. So it was just really easy, simple.
That's it's insane. I think first off, I gotta say, I think that the first single you did, not single, but it should be a single. Is the Faith, Hope, Love one. That one should be a single at some point. I think that's to me.
It's very much uh it's like a lot of people ask me about my lyrics, like what motivates me to write things. And it's like, you can't sit down and look around you uh at this day and age, um and just sit here and go, man, everything's peachy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's so I'm just sitting there going, man, I'm not really going to tell anybody how to live their life, or who to vote for or who not to vote for. Any of that stuff. I'm a stay in my own lane guy.
I like that song. To me, I like to me it has a John Fogerty songwriting feel. The riff, I think the guitar tone, and I like that a lot because I have not heard that at all. Anybody has done nothing that's even done a nod towards John Fogerty. I can't tell you.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was talking to Stevie D from Buckcherry,
Yep.
and that was a song that Marty and I co-wrote with Stevie D.
All
And
right.
so he kind of came up with that opening riff, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and then it just organically came together super easy. You know what I mean?
Man, Martin does a lot of work with you. It's you and Buck Cherry. Because I talked to CB a lot too, so it's always Marty's name is always in the mix when it comes to songwriting lately.
That guy
Yeah.
is, it's. I was just telling some friends here. We were all camping out. We had a little barbecue yesterday, and we were talking about Marty, and it's just like, you sit down and you look at the stuff he's written with Aerosmith
Hmm.
and Motley and Ozzy and Def Leppard and Buckcherry, you know. But then he's also done the same thing with people like Tim McGraw, Carrie Underwood,
He's a
so
songwriter.
yeah, yeah, he's a songwriter, and it was like, uh, he also, but it was weird. Like we were talking yesterday, my friend, we were talking about Almost Famous, the movie.
Yeah.
And I go, a lot of people don't realize that. I go, but that's Marty singing when Stillwater is playing live. I go, he wrote all those songs, and that's him singing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like no, if you anytime that band is performing live
Yeah.
in the movie, that's Marty singing. Uh, that's Marty singing.
That's awesome. You got a good voice. That's
Yeah,
really good. I have to go back and
no,
listen to those
he's a
songs again
great,
now.
great singer. So
That is really that's kind of fun. You've done
yeah,
a little bit of
awesome.
trivia. That is awesome. So here's the thing. So like you have so many songs. You probably got a good couple hundred songs in your cycle. You cycle through with all the stuff you've done in different bands and stuff that people want to hear. Whatever. Doing your solo stuff. How are you picking stuff to do it? So you're doing. I mean, because you can do a lot of this whole album. This whole album is pretty solid. And to me, I'd say like I've only listened to the album as a full album. I'm a kind of full album guy. So I've heard it through
Yeah,
a bunch of times. Now there are some songs I'm like I have a couple favorites when I first heard. It, I'm like, oh, like they stick out. And then like a week later, because I've had it for a while, and I go, oh, I like this song now. Like because an album grows on you. You just not just all at once. So to me, I'm always finding little treasures. I'm still at that early point, in the honeymoon part of the album to me, where I'm still finding stuff. So that album all fits together so well and fits with a lot of your other stuff. What are you doing for song choices for that? How are you mixing it up?
it's funny. Like, and again, I mean, it's kind of common knowledge. Like, I just want to. I don't want to say reinvent myself, because this is stuff that I've been, like you said earlier, I've been kind of dipping my toes in all through my career. But you know, honestly, I wanted to do a little bit of the Scream, a little bit of Union, Motley, some Dead Daisies stuff, and then highlight three, four, five songs from the new record. You know, but
Hmm.
again, man, it's it's gonna change. Uh, Next month, I'm gonna be 67 years old. So I don't sing the same as I did when I was in the Scream or Motley for that matter. So this is me just trying to figure out my future, my path. So,
Hmm.
you know, I'll sit down with the guys and we get into rehearsal singing. Um a lot of times even when I do my acoustic sets, I don't even write a set list. It's just off the cuff. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I like starting with this song. This kind of warms me up a little bit. So I'll do the first couple songs, you know, and then it's just hit or miss. It's just like, let me just, you know, whatever. A lot of times too, somebody will yell something out in the audience and I'll go, all right, man, you know what? I haven't played that one in about 8 years. I don't know if I can get through it, but I'll try it. And, uh, you know,
I like
so
that
it's,
spirit.
yeah, it's just like, you know, let's just, like, each night's going to be different as far as audiences. So,
Yep.
you know, I just, like I said, when we were in Europe, I wanted to do a couple of Scream tunes, a Motley song, some Union stuff, a couple of Dead Daisy songs, and see, you know, and then again, I'm promoting a new record, so I'm going to do four or five of those, and uh, you know, a cover. Like that's the cool thing about these guys. I was like, hey man, let's do maybe I'm a Leo. We were actually at rehearsal before we went, and I go, man, I'd really like to do maybe I'm a Leo. And they immediately just started
Wow.
playing it like everybody knew it. So it was like, all right, cool. We ran through it a few times. So that's kind of the beauty of having the guys that I have from my live band. It's like they've got so much fucking experience that we
Hmm.
can do that too. So that's something, you know, again, that's going to be spur of the moment. Like, hey, let's do Up Around the Bend by Credence or what, you know, whatever. The cool thing about this record, and I think that's why my wife says it's so honest, John Corabi, is that even with Marty, as involved as Marty was, Marty's a great producer. And he came to me and he goes, hey, dude, like at the end of the day, this is your record. This is your vision. You know, what do you think if we did this? Now, a prime
Hmm.
example of what I'm talking about is when we wrote the song When I Was Young, uh, Marty and I had originally wrote that. It was a bit slower. It was almost ballady. So we mapped it out.
Okay.
And then Marty's like, hey, I got some gigs I got to go do. So he went up to Green Bay or something. And he was just listening to the, you know, the rough phone recording of us with the acoustic guitars. And he came back because we were going to lay it down on Monday. And he goes, hey, dude, I was thinking, what if we did When I Was Young a bit more up tempo? And I'm like, what? So we jammed it. And he goes, now he goes, I hate to throw this out there, but think Maggie May by Rod Stewart. And I was like, okay. So we
That would be the
laid it,
basis I was thinking.
yeah, we laid it down. And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, totally. I totally understand what you're hearing on that song. I'm totally going for a Ronnie Wood, Maggie May type guitar solo, right? So I did that, and now we're getting ready to mix. Marty called me on the phone. I'm at home and I'm listening to the roughs, and Marty goes, "Hey, dude, we really went in for that Maggie May thing. You know what I think? When I was young, needs." He goes, "A mandolin," and I go, "All right, well, you know." He goes, "I won't do anything." He goes, "I'm going to put a mandolin on it, and then I'll send it back to you, and you give me the thumbs up, thumbs down." So I was like, "All right, cool." So he had Evan, his son, figure out a cool
Yeah.
mandolin part, and Evan laid it on the track, and they sent it back to me. And as soon as I heard it, I'm like, "I fucking love it. Put it to bed. That's it. Just mix it and put it to bed." So it doesn't sound like Maggie May, but
No.
that was our that was kind of the jumping off point of the fact that I got offered a record deal. Like, because I tried putting out a couple of the songs a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, like, I don't understand all the how the algorithms work. And I can't even spell algorithms. So it's like, whatever. But, trying to figure that out with Cosi and Your Own Worst Enemy. And I'm like, I don't get it. So I kind of put everything to bed for a minute. The Daisies called me back. I went and I did a couple of tours with them. We did the blues record last year, Light 'em Up.
Hmm.
And then Frontiers reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a record?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, okay, great." So I signed that. Then I go back to work with the Daisies, and the manager goes, "Hey, we're going to take a year off. We're not going to do anything." Okay, perfect. So that worked out. I got together with Marty. We had like three songs done from before Cosi Your Own
Yep.
Worst Enemy, and Love That'll Never Be.
Okay.
So we got to work. We started writing. Everything was coming together like very organically and easy. Mixed, mastered the record, turned it in, and even the artwork for the record. It was like I was sitting there trying to come up with some genius statement to call the record. And then the more I
Hmm.
listened to New Day, I was like, no, man, it's right here in front of you. Like, just call the record New Day. Um, so then I was like, all right, cool. I got the title. My manager was like, yep, that's a great song. It's got a positive meaning and it's a great title for the record. So then I started looking up sun images because in the song I go, "It's a new day, just let the sun shine down on you." So I look up sun images, and the first thing that came up was a sun tarot card. Then I looked at the meaning of the tarot card. It's like personal growth, positivity, like all this other stuff. I go, awesome. I sent it to a friend. I asked him to square it off to it. So there's little hidden crabs in there, whatever. And
Yeah.
so he did that for me. I turned it in. Record label goes, "This is great. Love the record. Love the artwork." And like I said, I don't think I broke a sweat at all doing any of it. I told my wife, I said, I've been late to everything. I didn't get my first record deal until I was like 31 years old.
Hmm.
And, maybe this is the record at 67 that puts John Corabi on the map. But I love the word of mouth thing. It's like guys like you, it's more about podcasts
Yeah.
and just getting word of mouth out. So my wife constantly tells me, like, I still get a little anxious, I still get impatient, but my wife just, she'll pull me in off the pull me in the window off the ledge,
Yeah.
and she goes, "John, just calm down. The record's not even out yet. I think when everybody hears it as a whole, it's going to be awesome. Calm down."
It's such a good record. It doesn't even matter. I mean, it sounds negative. It doesn't even matter what anyone else thinks about it. It's just such a good record, and you're so proud of it. Of course, you want the success on top of it, but this is a good standalone. you are a songwriter onto your own and you're not a part of any other project. This is what this is. So everything else is just accolades or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just a plus. The album's good. So, that's all it needs to be.
No,
You did justified your talent.
I love this record. I love where I'm at. I love where I'm going, and you know, onward and upward.
Let me ask you, we're about to end this in a second. Two things I was people also, by the way, don't forget, John was on a while back. We had a great book out, Refusing Hand Grenades. Great book. Go back and check that one out too. Maybe you can listen to the album while you read the book. Might be kind of confusing though to hear the words and stuff, but it's a good book though. It's actually a good book. I've actually read it. Writing songs. I always been asking that lately. When an artist writes a song that's kind of personal, and then it gets success, it's always hit or miss with an artist how they feel about it. Like I know you've written, was Robin's song. Everyone loved that song. Clearly very personal. The most beautiful song though. It's hard to write that song because to me, I would never be able to do it. I'd be like, nope, I don't want to think about anything negative in my life. I'm that guy. But I know some people will actually do it and be like, no, it's kind of cathartic. Where do you sit with that?
It's just like
Not just
writing
that song
music.
in general. I'm saying because
No, but writing music sometimes it's very it's getting something off your chest. Sometimes without even realizing you need to get something off your chest. Um, when
yeah,
I wrote Robin's song, I had been dating a girl named Robin, and she just decided she needed some space, and she left. And it was like, I wish there was something I could say to you to make you change your mind. There was nothing I could say to that girl. You know what I mean? Um, but I have other songs too, like Father, Mother, Son from the Scream album was completely inspired by a TV commercial I saw on the TV at the time in California. And my son was very little. Um, I mean, he was maybe 2 years old, whatever. And
hmm
he was running around the house playing with his toys. And I was sitting there with an acoustic guitar, and this commercial came on the TV. And it was a public service announcement, but it was this guy looking down, and it lent you to believe that he was talking to his son, and he was saying like, "I wish you would have told me. I told you you could talk to me about anything," and he's just going on and on and on. But as he's talking to his son, the camera's panning out, and then you realize that he's talking to his son's headstone, and then the camera
oh,
goes black, and it says, "Teach your kids about drugs." You just made the face. I was like, oh God. And then
well, yeah, yeah. How can you have kids and not make that face? I mean,
I looked at my son, and I'm like, I have no idea how I would feel if I was in that position. And it was the weirdest thing. Like I was already sitting on the couch with a guitar watching this whole thing play out. I got up, I got a notepad, a cassette recorder, and I just
mhm.
sat there, and the song is actually, you know, it's a made up story, but something has happened to the son. He's passed, and he's looking down at his parents, and he's saying all the things to his parents that he wanted or he should have said when he was alive, and he didn't. So, and it wound up being this awesome, beautiful song that still to this
Yeah.
day people write to me, and it's like it's just this thing that and I probably wrote that whole song in an hour. It was like the
Came out.
universe just said, yeah. It was like I was inspired by something. I wrote it, uh and as soon as everybody heard it, Eddie Kramer, he was like, dude, this has to go on the record. It's beautiful. And I was like, okay. And it came out awesome. And it's still to this day, I get people write to me, oh, hey, dude, my dad passed away, and or my brother passed away, or my son, or whatever. And they're like, I love that song. It helped me get through whatever they were dealing with the passing of their relative. And that's like that's awesome to me. So it's just weird. Like I'll there's a song on the record. Another example was on the new record. There's a song called Laurel, and
Laurel Canyon, probably, right?
yeah, well, but it was inspired. I was sitting here. My wife and I joke all the time. Like I'm a bit of a music nerd, so she's just recently discovered the Deep Purple Burn album, and she's like,
What?
"Oh my!" Well, no, no, you got to understand. My wife's about 14 years younger than me,
Okay.
but
Because I'm 55 and I'm like
no,
a music
I
wizard
get it.
myself.
But
So,
my wife didn't, like Deep Purple wasn't on her radar, and I've motorcycles, and I'm riding one day, and Sail Away came on from the Burn album.
oh,
And she goes, "Who's this?" And I go, "Oh, it's Deep Purple." And I'm like, "Oh, that's Glenn Hughes singing right there. That's the guy that replaced me in the Daisies." And she's like, "Oh, cool." She goes, "I really like this song. It's sexy." And then I told her it was David Coverdale was doing the other vocal, and she loves
mm,
Whitesnake. So she was like,
yep.
"Oh, you know." And then she always makes this joke, "Man, I was born 10 years too late. I would have totally been into all this stuff." Okay. Well, I was sitting down, we're working on the record, and I saw that documentary called Echoes in the Canyon.
Yep.
And it was about the
That's
history of
good. That's
Laurel
good.
Canyon. And yeah, and I just watched it, and I found myself saying, after seeing some of the stories in there, these beautiful stories, Graham Nash and Joni Mitchell and all these. And I was just sitting there going, I was born 10 years too late. I go, I love it. So I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I sat down with my acoustic guitar, and the song just came, and it was like all the stories Laurel Canyon could tell you if it could speak.
People check out the album. It's April 4th again, and subscribe to his stuff. All his socials. The links will be below. All right, John. You have a good day, man. Thank you,
You
sir.
too, buddy. Thank you again.
Okay.
Keep it
We'll talk
going.
again. Bye bye.